What's going on, everyone? So, Martha Meeks, right? She has been a, staple kind of sprinkled throughout the Scream franchise. Obviously, Randy's sister, established in Scream 3, and then we got her and her return in Scream 5. Her family has just been decimated by Ghostface. And, there's a lot of talks about, a secret cameo in the upcoming Scream movie, and there's a lot of speculation, right? Because it literally could be anything. I mean, literally, it could be 15 different. It could be a character that we thought was dead that's alive. It could be a character that is alive, like a Martha Meeks or a Joel. It could be a character that we don't even know about, that maybe is a famous actor or somebody that we'd be familiar with, right? Like, there's so many potentials and possibilities on what that secret cameo could be. And not just that, but like, would Martha Meeks at this point even be the secret cameo, right? Maybe. It's possible. Right? You have the Meeks twins returning in this upcoming Scream. Now, she is in Woodsboro, but there's talks about even, like Stu's house potentially being lit on fire, and, that there's going to be something going on in Woodsboro, and we'll see how that connects and ties in, which maybe that draws out Martha because, the Meeks twins are supposed to go with Gail to, go see Sydney. So maybe that causes Martha to go like, hey, I'm going to go out there and be with my family type thing. So like you could easily have a tie-in and connection and get her involved in this upcoming Scream movie. Now, it's very possible that she's just, kind of a character there, kind of floating around, maybe she even dies at some point, right? Like maybe they just wipe out the whole Meeks family, right? Like she ends up dying, both Meeks twins end up dying. Very possible. You could have that in several ways. But what if Martha is the killer, right? Now, I've talked about this in the past, and I've mentioned this in the past, and the thing that I think is funny is like usually people's arguments is like that's stupid because like why would she go after Sydney and everything when her family's been attacked? Okay, well, like why would Mrs. Loomis do it, right? Why would Roman do it? Why would Detective Bailey and all these characters, why would they go after Sydney and go after these characters and stuff like that? Because their family was impacted, right? Like, your son being a psycho killer and, basically becoming Ghostface, like, why would you want to revenge that when he was the one in the wrong? Like, Scream's motives, you can argue, have always been ridiculous. Roman's whole thing was like, even Sydney called it out. Like, oh, mommy doesn't love me, so I'm going to go and take it out on Sydney. Like, what does Sydney have to do with, Maureen Prescott not wanting him, right? Like, there's nothing to do with Sydney. Sydney doesn't even know, right? Like, so, again, like, the idea that Martha wants to take out Sydney, because this is a Sydney movie, right? The idea that Martha wouldn't want to get rid of Sydney in the hopes that maybe it stops the Ghostface attacks, that it might keep my children safe, right? Like that, look, I've lost everything from my brother Randy dying because of Sydney to my children being attacked and should have probably died on several occasions already, right? Like, that's more motive than half the killers that have become killers. There's more motivation for that, period. I've also talked about the Meeks. Like, what if the Meeks twins are killers? What if it's a family affair, right? We got a dad and 2 children. What if it's the mom and 2 children? Right? What if the Meeks twins are just sick of, being the victim, so they become Ghostface, right? Maybe that's even why they're alive, but like, the big thing is like, okay, the other side of the coin that people usually mention, which is fair, is like, why would Martha want to go after her own kids? Right? But like, again, we don't even know exactly what is going on. Like, what if they're just chased? Or, like Derek gets slashed in the arm, right? Because like, you have to make it believable. Like Martha could still kind of target her kids, but not really target them, or maybe they're involved. We've seen Billy and Stu literally stabbed themselves to make it seem like they were like, Ghostface. To think that, again, Chad and Mindy have survived some brutal attacks, especially Chad. Chad has basically been put through the meat grinder and came out, right? To think like if Martha just like poked him in the stomach one time, right? And then just like moved on to the next person, right? And made it look like, he was attacked and he survived. Like no one's even going to question it, right? Like, or if he gets slashed to the arm or something like that, right? Like there's a lot of ways that you could kind of justify it and explain it, right? Like, again, and especially if Sydney and her family is the main target. I mean, it would make sense, right? Like, my family's been decimated by Ghostface. It's time to kill yours, right? I had to deal with this, so now I'm coming after you. Now I'm gonna return the favor type thing. Again, is it a bit of a stretch? Sure, but let's not pretend like every Ghostface motive hasn't been a bit of a stretch. Not pretend like every Ghostface motive, like this sounds like a Ghostface motive, literally. Right? Like why, Jill wanting to be a star, right? Like, so she goes and takes up Ghostface, right? She wants to be Sydney 2.0, so she takes up Ghostface. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's fun, it's campy, it's all that stuff, right? Mrs. Loomis wants revenge on her son who was a psycho killer, right? And it's partly your fault because you abandoned him, right? Like, again, Sydney calls it out and how ridiculous it is. Sydney calls out how ridiculous it is, right? Like, again, most of these are crazy and over the top. I mean, even Billy's was a little crazy, like, again, like, Stu's was just peer pressure, right? Like, it's just, you can argue none of the motives have been these, like, super stellar type motives. Martha Meeks wanting to put an end to Sydney in the hopes that maybe Ghostface stops popping up or isn't as big of a factor because like all of this started in STEM because of Sydney. It was your boyfriend Billy. He's the one that did this. Then his mother ends up killing my brother, and now because of you, they want to get back to the stab movies and they want to do all this stuff because everyone seems to idolize you and you're the white whale for Ghostface. And as long as you're alive, my family's not safe. My children are not safe, right? Like, I mean, again, it makes some sense. There is an argument to be made there. And again, these are all just fun exploratory videos, right? Like, it's not something that I'm necessarily expecting at, but I think the likelihood is very slim, if non-existent, right? Like, but, I don't think it's a crazy, far-fetched, way out there idea to have Martha Meeks in a Ghostface costume. I actually think it'd be cool if it was Martha and her children, right? Have the first twins, mother, children type thing. Maybe their dad even comes back. Maybe their dad's, like ends up creating the cult or something like that, right? And it's just kind of like, why are you doing? Like, I started the cult to protect my family, so they were off limits to Ghostface or whatever, right? Like, well, why did you attack Chad? We had to make it believable, right? Like, type thing. That was the whole idea, right? Like, I don't hate it. I think it's I think it can be something that would be interesting. I don't think it's something that anyone would expect, right? Turning essentially a legacy character and, her children into Ghostface, or just turning the legacy character into it. They've always kind of toyed with the idea. But as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? You love the idea, hate the idea, mixed in the middle? Either way, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.